What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Man, you gotta love the play-in. Those games were pretty entertaining. Cavs net started off kind of slow, but it finished pretty good. And then Timberwolves Clippers was a wild one. I think I'm gonna start there, man, because this game is fresh on my mind. It literally just ended. And man, what a game. A lot to take away. We're gonna get into it. First off, I gotta give shout outs to D'Lo and Anthony Edwards on the offensive end, really closing that game out. After Karl-Anthony Towns fouled out with like 7.5 minutes left, those two really stepped up. D'Lo, the entire game, was weathering the storm. He was the reason why this was a close game really to begin with, because he was just assertive really from like the jump. And then Anthony Edwards really picked it up, especially late in that fourth quarter. He had some big time shots, man. Big time win for the Timberwolves, man, because I was worried that they were going to lose this game, and that would just put so much pressure on them going into that final playing game to win. And just the way the Timberwolves are, like with their history and stuff, it just felt like a recipe for disaster. But they were able to get the win. I got some takeaways though. Coaching really does matter in these games, man, and I understand it's a one-game situation and you want your best players on the floor, but you can't allow some of your most impactful players to get in foul trouble that quickly. Not just like 2 fouls. Patrick Bailey had 3 fouls in the first quarter, and then Cat had like 4 fouls, I think, at halftime. You can't allow that to happen. Like, you can't allow 2 of your most important players. Cat's, you know, obviously your best offensive player, and Pat Beverly is a very key piece to this defense, and you can't allow both of those guys to get into foul trouble that early. That's just kind of bad coaching by Chris Finch. Shout out to him though, he just got his contract extension the other day, but that's bad coaching. It is his first like playoff type atmosphere situation, so you know you can't expect coaches to be perfect in one game situations, obviously. And you're going up against Ty Lue, who's usually one of the best in, you know, these win or go home type of situations. But it was a duel. It was a duel, man. The Clippers, it seemed like they had this game tailor-made. They were up, I think, 7 when Karl-Anthony Towns fouled out, and they just couldn't close it out. They just could not close it out. Shots were not hitting down the stretch. PG had a very good game. I think he had like 34 points or something like that, but down the stretch, he wasn't getting the same looks. You got to give credit to Jared Vanderbilt. Jaden McDaniels was doing a pretty good job on him. You know, those two guys were really taking most of the Paul George assignment. And even though he had 34 points, it was not an easy 34 points. I'm more so just impressed with how the Timberwolves were able to win this game. D'Lo hit some big shots down the stretch. Anthony Edwards was big time down the stretch. Pat Bev was making a lot of defensive plays. He was grabbing some really key defensive rebounds, which just helped settle this team down. And big time win. Big time win. I'm excited to see, obviously, their matchup with the Grizzlies, because I feel like those teams are very evenly matched. Even though the Grizzlies are like 10 games better than them in the standings, I still think they're pretty evenly matched. When they played this season, I think they're 2-2 against each other, and most of those games were close. One of them even went to overtime. These teams are evenly matched. You can argue who's even the best player on the floor. Cat has to be better. Not only today, he has to be smarter, because he had 3 or 4 just really bad fouls. Like, you can't put yourself in danger like that. And even when he was on the court, he was not playing good, and then he was getting frustrated because Ty Lue had an amazing game plan defensively, like he typically does, where they were allowing either it was Batum or Marcus Morris to start off on Cat in the possessions, and as soon as he caught it, double team him. They sent Zubac at him. They were daring Jared Vanderbilt to try and beat them, which is a good recipe. So you can expect Taylor Jenkins to do something similar. So Cat has to be better. He can't start forcing shots like he did in that first half, because then he's going to be out of rhythm. The team is going to be out of rhythm, and it could be a quick series. But if Chris Finch can adjust his game plan a little bit, I think this is going to be an exciting series. As for the Clippers, no matter who they play, whether it's the Spurs or the Pelicans, I'm confident that they're not going to lose 2 games in a row, and they will be at home. And this is already a team, when their back's against the wall, they just play like they got nothing to lose. I'm be interested to see maybe what Ty Lue does, adjust his rotation a little bit. Realize like Luke Kennard didn't get any minutes tonight. Really shortened the rotation a lot. Didn't see as much as Terrence Mann as I think I would like. He kind of switched it up a little bit, so we'll see what adjustments he makes. He's one of the kings of adjustments in the league. And yeah, I think that second playing game will be either Thursday or Friday, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that game was wild also. The officiating was just... Scott Foster and Ed Malloy are 2 of the just most funny referees in the league, man. That game was all over the place. They were calling like everything, like a lot of ticky tack stuff, and then it was letting them play through a lot of like it was just weirdly officiated. I don't remember the last time I watched Scott Foster officiate a game, and it was not like that. But hopefully it's not like that moving forward with his officiated games, because that was kind of not difficult to watch, but it's getting frustrating because this game started at 9:30 and it is now like 12:30 Eastern time. So that game took a lot longer than it probably should have been. But shout out to the Timberwolves securing that 7th seed. And let's move on to the Eastern Conference. The Brooklyn Nets handle business, but it could call for some concern. I don't know. It could call for a little bit of concern because they were playing a Cavs team that was pretty depleted, and they got up by 20 early, and they couldn't put the Cavs away. The Cavs made this a game. It got down to I think like 6 points with like 3.5 or 4.5 minutes left, and obviously you have KD, you have Kyrie, two of the best closers in the league, and they were able to get out of this game, but they needed a masterpiece from Kyrie, who only missed 3 shots on the night. And then KD was, you know, basically playing like point guard in this game. I don't know if he had a triple. I'm not looking at the stats. I don't know if he had a triple-double, but he was stuffing the stat sheet, and then he hit some big-time shots down the stretch. For this team, moving on to play the Boston Celtics, they're going to have to play like this every single game for them to win that series. Because, shout out to Bruce Brown, he did have a very good game, but can you expect an 18, I think it was 8-9 game from Bruce Brown next round? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, can you expect that even once in a 7-game series? I'm not really too sure. And the Celtics are a much better team than the Cleveland Cavaliers are. No disrespect to them at all, but they are dealing with so many injuries right now. That's not even funny. Hell, if Jared Allen even played today, it might have been a different story. Like, they were really missing that interior presence of Jared Allen. And on the other side, they was making Drummond and Nick Claxton look like some all-star caliber players. Like, that's how it looked like when they were protecting the rim. So, you know, they played a depleted Cavs team. They won, so they secured the 7th seed. They're in the playoffs, but it just calls for a little bit of concern, man. Just how like razor thin this team is depth-wise. They don't really have a ton outside of KD and Kyrie. I expect Seth Curry to be better. It didn't seem like he really got in any type of rhythm in this game, which is understandable. I expect him to be better, but then again, you're going against the best defensive team since the start of the new year. Like, the Boston Celtics have been historically good since I think January 1st. They've been historically good defensively, like one of the best of like the modern era, bro. Like, they've been so good defensively, and even though Robert Williams is not gonna be in that series most likely, it's still gonna be a tall task, even if you do have KD and Kyrie. I'm expecting it to still be a fun series. It's gonna be a good series to see these teams match up. Sucks that it's so early on, but that's just how deep the Eastern Conference is, and really both sides of the NBA, they're both very deep. Like, we're probably gonna see an AC to Clippers team, which is crazy because that's a very good team. But I don't know, man. Nets fans, if you're watching this, let me know, because I'm not 100% sold. Like, you know, I don't think they'll be favorited in this series, but they're gonna have to be on some stuff for them to win this series. Like, it's gonna have to be historically good for them to win this series, man, because like last year was kind of similar, but they did also have James Harden in that series. Jaylen Brown didn't play. Like, when you look at the rosters, they were kind of drastically different. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a fun one. As for the Cavs, I don't know how confident I am that they can make the playoffs. It really depends on who comes out of the Hawks and Hornets matchup. I think I would pick the Hawks because they have the best player on the court, and I think they have the better coach as well. And we've seen the Hawks be able to turn it up in the postseason, and we haven't seen that from this Hornets team. So I think I would take the Hornets, and then when those two teams match up, I might take the Hawks, and then I might take the Hawks over the Cavs too, because they're just so depleted. Jared Allen might not be back, and quite frankly, they just didn't really play that good today. It was kind of crazy that they were still in that game. It was. I expect Darius Garland to be a little better. It seemed like he was kind of a little tentative early on, and he kind of got going late and stuff. Rondo was big for them, but it's tough. I feel so bad for the Cavs because this was such a good season for them, and then injury luck just hit them at the worst time possible. But they still have a chance. That's a good thing. They have a chance, and hopefully they can get in. If not, you might see the Hawks, you might see the Hornets. Either way, the 8th seed is going to be pretty good in the Eastern Conference, which it's been a long time since we've been able to say that. I guess I should predict the other playing game. Everybody knows I rock with DeJounte Murray. Give me the Pelicans. I just think they're a little more well-rounded of a team. Just a little bit. But the fact that the Spurs are even here, that pushes my DeJounte Murray MIP pick a little more. But yeah, let me know what y'all thought about the games tonight. And be sure to tune in probably tomorrow to recap the other playing games. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.